Joe Biden says goodbye, we say good riddance. Welcome to the Jason Rantz Show, presented by None Better Tax Resolution. Joe Biden stood before the nation to deliver his farewell address this week, and as we expected, he tried to rewrite history.
And finally, doing something to protect our children and our families by passing the most significant gun safety law in 30 years and bringing violent crime to a 50-year low.
Now, the truth is, Biden's presidency should be remembered as one of the worst in our nation's history. A disastrous recipe of economic incompetence, divisive identity politics, and a willfully porous border with rampant crime. Upon taking office, Biden chose to unleash a tsunami of government spending with the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. The administration ignored warnings from economists across the spectrum that his agenda would stoke inflation, and sure enough, inflation skyrocketed to a 40-year high, crushing families from Auburn to Bellingham and Seattle to Spokane, who are already struggling to make ends meet. Biden's border policies, or lack thereof, created the worst immigration crisis in modern history. On his first day in office, he dismantled Trump-era policies like remain in Mexico, effectively sending a come on in signal to the entire world. And the result was a record-breaking 2.8 million encounters at the southern border in one single year, and an untold number of gotaways. Fentanyl poured into our communities, killing a record number of Americans, including right here in Washington state. Biden promised to unite the country, but he spent 4 years dividing it further. Biden's obsession with identity politics turned meritocracy into a dirty word. From hiring cabinet members, picking a vice president, and selecting a Supreme Court justice based on their identity over their qualifications, to relentlessly pushing divisive narratives on race, gender, and equity, Biden amplified cultural schisms. Biden's soft-on-crime approach emboldened criminals and gutted law enforcement. The radical left promised to dismantle the criminal justice system, and, well, they did just that. He effectively embraced the defund the police rhetoric of his party's left-wing extremists by doing little to push back. And even as crime surged all across major cities, well, he remained passive. As Joe Biden wraps up his presidency, his legacy is one of failure. Not, as he claims, one that saved the country from ruin. But thankfully, there's hope on the horizon. President-elect Trump will take office on January 20th and clean up the mess that Biden created. America deserves a leader who puts the interests of its people first, someone who prioritizes safety, economic growth, and unity over pandering and political gamesmanship. Frankly, we deserve a president who isn't in mental decline. And on Monday, the hard work of rebuilding begins with President Donald Trump. I sat down with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. Tell me a little bit about the Fresh Start program, because again, based on how it's promoted, it seems really, really simple.
This Fresh Start program and that phrase has been around for many, many, many years now. But it's a great marketing tool to say, hey, fresh start. And in a way, for those that qualify, it is. What it essentially is an offer in compromise. And to get that, there's two main criteria a person must qualify for. One, they must have limited or no equity in assets. So generally, anyone in the Puget Sound region that owns a home and has for several years, they're going to have a lot of equity. They won't qualify. And the other is an income level. And that all depends upon your family size about how much income that could be. But both of those standards need to be met to qualify. Most people do not.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967. Or Google NUNN, None Better Tax Resolution. Did you like that commentary? Make sure you subscribe to the podcast of The Jason Rantz Show. Get it at KTTH.com or wherever it is you download your podcasts.